I'll kind of go through packages one by one as we do, but I think the broad thing out of this programme was there wasn't enough voices. I don't think there was enough interviews really in today's programme, and interviews really from people in positions of kind of any sort of authority, somebody to give meaning or context to some of the stories. There was voices in lots of the stuff, but a lot of it just kind of lacked that sort of authoritative, someone who would, you don't always have to look for an expert, but who might be considered that voice of authority in some of these pieces. So I wrote that down. I wrote sound down as well, and I think Cam's probably going to mention sound. And then just a few just on treatment as well. I think there was too many as live type treatments and not enough thought about packaging, sequencing, and making packages. And I think until we got to Harry's piece, when it really felt like a sort of well structured and well put together package. That's not to say that there wasn't some good stuff in there. It just felt like that package treatment was lacking until we got to sort of Harry's at the end. So we had the menu, which is good. And actually I thought presenters, you both did really well today. Like nicely read. There was some light banter to deal with to eat up some of the time as we went through. I thought you both looked relaxed. And we're both happy just sort of chatting away on camera. I thought that was good. Ignore the radio team. So nice that I think, Poppy, you picked up those shots for the mental health ULA, just kind of people walking through central Manchester. One of those stories where it just doesn't have shots, so you need to shoot something. And the Granada Reports Northwest Tonight Classic is just shots of Market Street, people walking up and down. So they were absolutely fine. The sort of, I know Leonie's had to go, but the sort of GMP Halloween crime thing I thought we were slightly confused about what the top line was, and I think Leonie was in her piece as well. And then shots of the lights were ideal as well. I would argue that each of those bits was tight. There's nothing wrong with the snappy menu, but maybe a tiny bit too snappy. In terms of getting those shots on and off, Adam, you probably found that quite difficult between whoever was on Vision and whoever was on server to get those on and off and make that work. But great to have shots for everything, just as you did for the bulletin earlier today, and we said earlier today, shots for everything. That's what we want. It's telly, it's pictures medium, so that's good. At the top, we had the mental health studio. Ruby, I thought you explained this really, really well. I thought the graphics worked really, really well. So, yes, it was a slight rigmarole having to have 7 separate ULAs, a separate ULA for every single thing. But the reason you do that, and the reason you then work carefully on your script and make sure that the instructions of when you roll each ULA are in your script, is because in the gallery, they were queuing the right pictures at the right time. It doesn't sound like much until you're having the right pictures at the right time, but it doesn't always happen. You watch any broadcast and sometimes something will roll late or will come in, and largely throughout that, I thought the graphics really chimed with what you were saying. You tried your best at times to sort of refer to the screen as well, so it wasn't just there incidentally. Each graphic was doing something. And while it again lacked that voice of maybe someone from, whether it is the clinical commissioning group or from the organisation that did the survey itself, I think that's the sort of thing you'll see on ITV News, and particularly on News at 10, you see a lot. Both News at 10s actually, ITV and BBC will do that. Obviously BBC have got that huge curved screen, which I don't think we can afford.
We'll try and get it into the studio refresh, but no promises.
Let's get one. That sort of thing is really, because they move along that and all that. That's great, but ITV do it with a green screen, and doesn't look dissimilar to the way that looked with the. So, barring that voice, everything was really clear, well explained, and I thought the graphics worked really, really well as well. Say Leonie has gone, but it's just GMP, not the GMP. You don't have to give them the definite article. It's ideally Greater Manchester Police, because GMP means basically boggle to people who are watching telly. So Greater Manchester Police, and then after that, maybe the police.
It was just also the others really said Manchester, City Council Manchester, this Manchester, everything.
Yeah.
It felt a bit ugly.
I thought GMP were like NHS, everyone knows what it means, but obviously not.
The old the old sort of adage was that in terms of initialisations or acronyms or whatever, you get away with the NHS, the AA, and the RAC or whatever, and that's kind of, the FA. That's another thing like the AA, but the Royal Automobile Club, whatever. But those outside of that, people sort of don't know. I think people in Manchester know what GMP means, but you certainly don't need to give it the definite article as Leonie did in her piece. And I think she needed to explain why she was outside a bar to start with, because that kind of shot opening with her outside a bar, but talking about Halloween. It felt like we weren't quite connecting those dots up, and eventually we got there with the idea that bars and businesses have seen vandalism in the run-up to Halloween, and then we got to the best bit was hidden at the end. The best bit was the shop owner who had the windows smashed in, but that was at the end of Leonie's piece. So it is just that thing of the best bit was the interview clip and the shots of that smashed in window. Start with that. Again, that's more of a treatment thing, and Leonie had very much aimed for it to be as fairly straight as live, but when you do that treatment, it just limits so much what you can do. You're standing in one place, sort of talking outside one place, and it doesn't give you as much freedom. What we wanted was more of that stuff in the shop, even if it's a sequence of working the till, opening the till, serving somebody. All that just helps in terms of sequences and shots. A bit of drone footage as well in there from George's mini drone.
Got to get his money's worth.
He's got to get his money's worth. He insists it's under the weight and he doesn't need a licence. Let's chat about that. But the best bit was the shop, and that's where we should have started. And just be aware as well, that GMP statement, good to get it in there. I'd rather have an actual police officer actually speaking into a microphone, but it was a wordy old statement. There was arguably too many words on that statement for a thing, for a TV graphic. We moved on, then another studio live, and I think Izzy, this was probably an article brought to life. It felt like. It feels like a sort of web article in which you would be able to have maps and more things going on, and I think that was what
it
was
actually
lacking from
an article, yeah.
There you go.
I'm not going to lie.
I think it was, the internet brought to TV. It's the future.
Yeah, there we go.
What I think it was that map thing, that sort of thing of here are the four biggest things. And I know between you and Kate, you did try to do things, whether it was a mini cartoon car driving through fields and driving recklessly through fields of Salford. You tried to dress that up and make it into something a bit more visual. That ultimately was kind of what it liked, really. Which is why, again, I think this sort of thing works best as an article. Or if you're thinking about doing a weather forecast, you go somewhere where one of these things is happening.
Well, I was going to do that, but then I'm not going to lie, I looked outside and thought, you know what, I'm not going out in that. So.
Well, I admire your honesty, if nothing else. That is where, and you will see. I think Joe Blythe was at somewhere similar over the weekend, or certainly will be. It's just that I think whether you want to think about it for tomorrow. I know you've got your news round output tomorrow, so it's slightly different. But that would have been a way to do it. Go somewhere, do the weather, and talk about some of the displays that are happening. Just be aware in the link for the Christmas lights, we said there's going to be a change to the Christmas lights in Manchester, but there's not. It would be a change if they were going to do a switch on, but they're not going to do a switch on because they haven't done one for a few years. I thought this was really well delivered, Poppy, in which is having to do pieces to camera in places like Market Street or by the things, or Piccadilly Gardens, Hell's Teeth. I mean, that is never a nice place.
I only got 2 of them, and one of them I didn't realise at the time, but some builders walked past and made sex noises to use the other one.
Well done. Good editorial decision to use the other one. So it was really well delivered. I thought there was lots of. I just wanted to hear from Pat Carney. I wanted to hear from a counsellor, someone to explain why it's going on. I thought the Voxes were actually really good, apart from the guy who kept saying it was dead.
That was
And it was, I'm not sure I understand, but that might be my age.
We asked like 30 people. Everyone was just like, no. And then we just had to include what we got.
Well, and I mean, that is that lesson. If you're going out voxing and you do 3 or 4, and then come back and go, oh, they're all rubbish. You actually have to keep going. You have to keep going and do 40, 50 sometimes to get 4 or 5 good ones. But you did get some good ones in the end. And I thought they were really nice. I thought the sound was good. You recorded the sound on a separate device and synced it back up. So, again, if you shoot on one of these, you don't have to sync it back up. But you did a good job doing that. Again, I think just that voice of authority, that Pat Carney or someone, and Pat Carney's not afraid of a camera and a microphone.
I know we spoke about it this morning, didn't we? But because I was already on my way out, and then we kind of, yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where you look back and you're like, I should have done that. Sorry.
That's right. We're all here to learn. Salford History was another As Live type treatment at the beginning. Beth, and I think you had some really lovely shots.
I know, the sound was just awful, it was so bad.
Let's come to that. I was going to build you up with the good stuff first. Some of the shots were just really great. And again, with a little more thought of sequencing, as in, can I get a guy picking up a book and flicking through the things, or, you know, going for one of the helmets or something like that. You know, I think a little more thought into the sequencing would have let you package it.
I did have that with the other guy that I couldn't get his interview up with.
Right.
So I had all the videos and stuff like that, and that was going to be my main one, but
And again, that's you know, it's another technical note. If you shoot on your phone, can't always guarantee that it's going to work. If you use the cameras that your fees pay for, underline that in big letters.
They're annoying to carry about though in the island as well.
They are annoying to carry about. I get that, but
the case would be perfect. Would be perfection.
Yeah,
well, I will.
So
As opposed to
Had
that,
it in a suitcase,
that's,
I would
do you know
take
what I
it
mean?
out.
That's what it's the ease of it.
well,
why
it's
are they
better
not-
quality on
it's
this
just a big-
anyway.
I'm sorry, I've got to walk down the road to put it in my car and just...
I'm glad I pulled the lid off that can of worms. But I mean, then look, you will end up with something where you can't predict what the sound's going to do, or you can't predict what the pictures are going to look
Yeah,
like,
the
or
pictures are going to look terrible.
which
the
clips are
sound
going to
won't
work, or something like
You're
that.
going to have to
Do you know
sync
what it
your
was?
audio later.
And like, I know they're heavy and I know they're awkward, but it wasn't like you went out and shot that and turned it around in a day. So you could have got that kit. I know you had a problem with your CISO account as well.
Yeah, no one trusted me to get out a camera, they just said...
You could have messaged us, we can train you.
No,
And that
it was
includes just marking you as
I can't
trained.
get into my size, so my account's banned at the moment. So I need
Is that
to-
because you
wonder no
haven't
one
paid the
trusts
fine
you.
for the kit?
Yeah.
Well, I think I found the
I
solution.
mean, you know.
I don't want to come across like I'm
I'm in
explaining
a Western
something
zone at the
too
moment,
obvious.
okay? I'm kind of skinned. That's my priority.
So,
Unban my size though.
well, in that, you know, there's not a lot more we can do. We can provide the kit. You can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead, as they say. So I think, you know, the sound was great.
Yeah, I do know that.
Whatever mic that wasn't working right.
I didn't understand
Something
it though,
was
because
wrong
I used
with
them
it.
on Wednesday and they were working.
Again, it's that thing of some phones will just stop working. Phones will just stop.
Do you have an
as
iPhone?
much as you did, Apple will
Were
just.
you using the Mojo kit? So some of the Mojo kit adapters are authentic Apple. Apple works with those. Some of them are not authentic Apple, and Apple sometimes works with those.
I think it was because it was a different, you know, the USB adapter thing. It had a blue thing around it. It didn't look like a normal Apple one, so it could have been that.
Probably was that. We've got the ones we've got because we just, frankly, even the university couldn't afford to just kit out a billion
50
Mojo
odd
kits
Apple
with
things, yeah.
authentic Apple ones. Those adapters are so expensive. So we just bought a bunch of third-party ones that sometimes work. And it's not a great system, but you know, we spent all the money on getting proper cameras instead because we decided that was better value.
And on a radio studio.
And on a radio studio twice.
So, you know, there's always something to learn out of it, and I understand that tech frustrations are like the most frustrating thing, because you then spend ages fighting it instead of thinking about how can I make this editorially the best / the most interesting to you. And it's not just you, Beth, not picking on you. It happens across the board. So it's, you know, if you're not confident with those cameras, do keep asking. We're more than happy to help. We did quite a lot of them in last year, so you know, if you need any more, then that's what we're here for. Then we had towards the end. Then we had Black History Month Harry, which was just a nicely put together package. You know, the structure of it felt right. There was loads of pace. you were writing to the pictures, so a nice intro, nice opening line of script where you're writing to the pictures. Sound again
Yeah.
wasn't great on
My
interviews.
cousin murdered me.
So was that just
I don't
somebody
know why I
not
said it, mate.
mic'd up?
I did use my phone. I'm not gonna lie, but because
Again, I admire your candour.
but I wasn't doing it until like the Thursday night, and it was Friday morning, so I didn't have time to come and get.
Yeah, that happens.
Cab.
Like I'm not. I worry you're all beginning to think that I'm completely against
But I don't know
Mojo.
why I didn't pick them up, because when you listen to it, I put it to me to ask the question,
Yeah.
and I put it forward, it's just not picking them up. So I don't know if it wasn't close enough. It was quite loud in there.
Yeah, there's a bit of that as well, and you know that the shot on the first woman. Again, I think you said the straps didn't come up, but you put your strap details in. I don't know if that was they were just a bit late or what have you.
I don't know if we had a graphics up. It was
Okay.
very chaotic.
The framing was quite wide, so we had a lot of it.
Yeah.
You could just so a lot of the time, particularly if it's
It was in the
loud.
doorway, so we couldn't get any closer.
Right.
And other than that, it was just outside against a brick wall.
Yeah,
Which
just
is a bit
getting if
Yeah.
you can getting closer to people, you know, will help. It'll improve the framing. We'll see more of their face, better shot. That head and shoulders thing just works much better. But the structure of this was really really good. As I said, there was loads of pace. I thought your graphic worked nicely, and I would have just done. And you're probably going to tell me that you couldn't because it was too busy. But piece to camera inside, just that thing of.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
If you don't come away from an event where there's something nice happening to go and do a piece to camera outside where all we can see is a building.
Yeah.
What we want to see is people
I was
doing
conscious
stuff.
of the music and copyright and stuff.
Oh yeah, forget that.
Alright.
That doesn't matter too much. Yes, I know it might.
if
end
you
up
talk
on
over it, YouTube,
YouTube,
usually
but-
can't figure it out.
Right, okay.
it should be right. If you're talking over it, yeah, it should be fine. We needed a little banter at the end to fill some seconds. We got some of that, so that was nice. But it's kind of just that message, and I know you've probably got one eye on your sort of special output tomorrow for Newsround, which might have taken some of the attention away from today. But don't think about packaging. That's the thing you should be thinking about. Don't immediately think, I'll go there, I'll do a piece of camera at the top, I'll put a couple of clips in, and then we'll sort of wrap up at the end. Really think about how you can start your package as well, because when you're on placement, which you'll be, you know, in not too many days for the next few weeks, we won't have news days for the next few weeks, you've got to be working how they would work in a professional newsroom, and thinking about the way that you treat stories is one of the main conversations that you'll get in newsrooms. I'm going to say it now while you're off on placement. Just watch the news and listen to the news and read the news. Don't come back off placement unaware of what's happening and having fallen out of the routine of doing news days. You shouldn't if you're on a placement somewhere, but I appeal to you all the time, and I will say it until I'm redder than my shirt. Just watch the news, listen to the news, read the news. It's the thing that's going to make the hugest difference. We covered some of the tech stuff, Cam, but do you want to wrap up a few more thoughts?
Very short on this. First thing, a lot of the problems might have been figured out a little bit if we'd got in earlier. Things like the fact we didn't have graphic straps. It was very rushed. We didn't get time to pre-record the menu. The menu, I set a hard cut-off of 15 minutes before TX. That menu has to be cut and sent. So that means it's not recorded 50 minutes before TX. It's recorded no less than 20 minutes before TX. So I have time to cut it and send it. Because it might be that we recorded it at 1:15, which is roughly when we maybe could have done it. And we get it first time, and I get it edited, and I get it sent. And it might make, but I can't guarantee that. And I don't want to take that risk. So it also means you guys have a deadline to work towards. So we need to make sure we're in there, in that studio, no less than half an hour before, ideally. It's far too tight. It's been this way for quite a bit. It's always going to be like this. I know this. You guys are working on your packages. But we need to try and get in there no less than half an hour before, especially if the menu is done. And it can always be that the presenters can go in with a finished menu. Those of you making stuff for the menu, just clip that up first. We get in there, we get it done, and then there's no stress from us. We can rehearse the script. I mean, the script can be in very, very early. You don't need to be waiting that long. It can go in more or less as you've started editing your package. So we can be rehearsing the script, have an edited menu ready, and it makes everything a lot calmer, and it lets us realize things like, oh, we don't have the graphics up, which is what happened today, but none of us noticed because it was just so busy. Handles were a little strange, and iNews timings were a little strange. Sometimes the audience times included handles, sometimes they didn't. Another reminder that the timings should not include the 5 seconds at the end, and your handles should be 5 seconds at the end. 1 or 2 you had handles. It's not a universal thing, and I'm not going to pick up particular people mostly because we didn't write that down. But just remember, I know Leonie's not here, but let's quickly talk about her mic. Her audio was not fantastic. The level was a little quiet, and she was clearly using the wrong mic for where she was. She was next to Deansgate, wasn't she? That's a very loud street. She should have been using a clip for that. I know Georgia's got a Rode Wireless Go. I don't know why they weren't using that.
It sounded like it was almost like submerged in a cone.
Yeah, I think because I couldn't see it on her.
No.
So it was either the phone's internal mic or you're right. She'd got it. And you've got to have your mic clear. And I get it. You want to hide it as much as possible. And those Rode Wireless Go's are fantastic, but very chunky. But just, look, clip it to your outfit. This isn't a film. We fully appreciate that the audio is coming from a microphone. We do the best we can to hide it, but it's okay to have it there. And actually, on that, when they had that interview at the end, they had the mic in shot. George was clearly stood like this. They could have framed that so much tighter, though. I mean, we were like shooting a mid-shot.
Yeah.
This is all you can make sure. You can get very tight on an interview. Head and shoulders again. So if they'd done that, we never would have known George was clearly crouching behind the guy holding the thing up. The Mojo can be unreliable on sound, in case you're wondering. Let's not relitigate it too much.
Yeah.
That said, I have autism, so now you have to admit it to the whole group, so I know if you were being serious.
What?
Did you really record your voiceover in the toilet?
Yeah, no, I actually
You hear that,
did.
BJTC?
Yeah, I did. To be fair, no, right. To be fair, I walked into that room and someone was in there. I then walked into the studio, someone was in there. I walked into the other one, someone was in there, and I just thought I really just want to get it done. So I just did it. And I knew it was going to be shit anyway because of the sound. So I just really couldn't be bothered at that point. I'm
Fair
sorry.
enough. I
There was
won't.
people in the voiceover room,
Yeah, we know.
and then you could hear them on my bloody thing.
It's
Yeah,
a
I'm
classroom,
sorry.
so it can't be booked out exclusively. But the same goes for them. You went in there anyways. I know that. I'll get to that. But
George shouted at them.
it's
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
fair enough.
it's not a bookable room. I just had to.
Good. Glad they're getting all this.
Harry got his mum in. Anyway, yeah, it's that voiceover was a little hard to hear. But that's
The whole thing was
okay.
hard to hear. It was
Well, this is
the theme.
this is very true. Which is why we won't relitigate it. The voiceover booth, when you do record with it, the way it's set up with the 2 microphones, the microphone you were using only comes through the left ear. It's a really
Really?
easy fix.
You have to
Yeah, I think so.
extract it.
You can just take that audio recording that's been done and put it into Audition,
Right.
click Favorites, convert to mono, and it's sorted. But as a result, I had to fix it in there. I can do it, but that's why at the very start you'll have noticed the sound that came out of the
it's
speaker.
one-legged, wasn't it? And then it came out
It
over there.
might have been that one.
It was dodgy because we were looking at the audio because it was a bit dodgy, but I didn't know why.
That's
Yeah,
why.
too late.
If you're unsure, you can always ask us. But that's all it is, and that's true for all of you. We want you to use the voiceover booth. It just has that one unique quirk. You just need to
You'll
make the
know
things
because
mono.
if you open it in Audition, it
There'll
has
be two
like
tracks, yeah.
and one's empty and one's
Yeah.
got sound
Yeah.
on it.
And if you
Maybe
convert,
maybe that's a quirk we should fix. Rather
I
than
don't think we
have to
can
be
'cause of the
fixing
setup.
edit.
It's there because there's 2 mics in
Yeah.
there, so that people can have a conversation in there. You can do an interview in there.
Okay.
You can use both mics.
it's a very intentional setup.
Sure.
So it's not one we can fix. It was by design.
Maybe, yeah. Put a note on Teams or Blackboard.
Yeah.
So can.
Yep.
So if someone's in that room in future and we're not going,
What, 325? I'm just going anyways.
Yeah, you can go
Like
in.
I said, it's a classroom.
It's not a classroom where there would be teaching
No.
going on.
So you are
if
fully
we're filming
entitled.
something with the green screen.
Yeah.
Ring
Yeah.
lights and everything.
But
Well-
none of us were approached or told we couldn't use the room, so just fucking go in there.
Right. Okay.
That voiceover booth exists. If they've got a problem and they start a fight, then we'll escalate it to the relevant people.
Well,
But
they
no
won't
one,
have it.
no one was informed
Who was it?
that the room wasn't
I
used.
don't know.
So, yeah, it's a classroom. If they want to book a space for a green screen, we have a TV Studio B downstairs, or they have our space, and they could have asked us. But we had no inquiries, so they clearly intend on using that classroom, which you can't book.
Okay.
So, you're entitled to use it as much as they are.
That's what George said to me.
Maybe less politely.
You know what? Polite, but arsey, but polite. You can tell her fucked off.
Your piece of camera was a lot louder than the rest. So just carefully your levels, make sure to normalise all of them. And you filmed on iPhone, so you had the exposure just whacked out on your
It wasn't
camera.
like that.
No, it won't be. Because you are editing in the Apple color space. I'm not going to get too much into it. There is a different kind of colors. There's HDR and SDR. Everything uses SDR, which is a bit less colors. Your iPhone films in HDR. You can change that. I don't know how, but you can change that. If you try and turn HDR to SDR without the correct treatment of it, which we do have files for, and you can ask us, it will just make it look bad. Like it blows everything out like that.
So in future, just get one of those.
Get one of
Yes.
those and edit on the desktop, not
Yes.
on your laptop. I know your laptop is appealing and you know your laptop. If it breaks on your laptop, there are very many variables that we can't fix. If it breaks on one of these desktops, we can fix it.
Is there not the app on there that
Definitely.
converts
I've already got
Apple
it,
to
so just send it when I get
Microsoft?
paid.
Because I know, like, it's like taking video from
It's not that
It's
simple.
not that
It's
simple.
not like a file conversion or anything. It's literally a color space thing. In theory, I could get the same with my Samsung, but you know the way you have to do that involves regrading the
How is
thing.
that fair in any way, shape or form? Why?
for Samsung, like, video compared to Apple. Like,
Yeah, but
It's-
that used to be a thing to do with frame rate and file type. It's not that. It's very much a different thing. A DSLR could have the exact same issue the iPhone has. It's just DSLRs tend not to be filming in that color, and so it has to be done through regrading, which we can we can give you the file you need and tell you the settings to press. And when my partner worked here, she very kindly set this all up because where she worked at the time, they all filmed on iPhone and then uploaded everything in SDR, so they had it constantly. So they tasked her with making a file that fixes all that. And we have that file because she gave it to us, and there's a really simple, it's like a 5-step walkthrough, but you do have to do it because otherwise it ends up looking a bit like yours did. It wasn't exposure or anything like that. It was just,
A little bit.
it was just
yes.
that. It
Which
just looked
is-
like you hadn't seen the sun in a few weeks.
Which is
Which-
really depressing with what I've done on the sunbed.
Sure. Which again is all of a piece to say you pay for these cameras,
Yes.
you pay for these computers.
They're a faff to lug around. Can we get them on wheels?
Well, we'll
I've
make
got
that.
bad news for you
We'll
because
make that plea.
that's quite
but,
small for the kind of cameras that self-shooters are asked to use.
I know the bag is large,
When-
but this
when we
is.
have jobs and we self-shoot and we get paid for that, and I think I can go.
Well, you're not getting paid here, mate. You're paid. All right, attention. You've wandered off topic. So, right, loads to think about. As always, tomorrow you have your news round output.
Can I just ask on that if
Yes.
anyone's got anything like ready to go, or if anyone's planning on going out on anything tomorrow in the day, please can you try and message me or Ellie tonight, just so we know.
I'm filming mine tonight
Sweet.
to edit it pretty much as soon as I get into mine. I have doctor's appointment at 10:15, so I won't be able to after that. But I'm going to film
Could
it
you
tonight.
message one of us just about what it's about, just so that in the
Doing
morning.
The 5 tips on how to stay safe during spooky season
Lovely.
for the kids.
Sweet.
For the kids.
For the kids.
Kids.
And are you two producing tomorrow? Right, so
And Harry and Leonie are presenting.
Fine.
And we probably will want some disappearances and costumes.
okay.
Would it be really
Uh,
continuity if the menu was in normal clothes and then we're in Halloween costumes?
No, because I think you can be doing the menu and then
Disappear at the end of the menu.
disappear.
Well, we can
We'll
talk
sort it
about.
tomorrow.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. So 10 o'clock outside the staff office. We'll have a morning meeting as we usually do.
Enjoy.
All right. Well done. Thanks everyone.
everyone.